Welcome to a Nebula Music Podcast topic review, a mini-series where I talk to some of my previous guests and ask them questions submitted by fans and really get more detailed into specific topics that fans want to know or learn more about. And I have Todd Pritchard joining me on these next couple of topic reviews. So let's not waste any more time. Let's dive right in. All right, we have another topic review, and I'm very excited to have Todd Pritchard. You know, I'm just a quick little side note. I'm always excited because I get a chance to interview some of my favorite musicians all over the world, and I couldn't be any happier to get a chance to really understand, you know, Todd and just other people and how they do their thing. And I love inspiring other people to do the same. But, you know, one of the things that I have definitely encountered in my career, and I'm going to get a little honest here with you guys, is doing way too much to the point where I don't feel inspired or creative. And I am a drummer, a touring drummer, and I did a lot of social media. But in a very quick summary, I have gotten burned out plenty of times in the past. And most of those times have been because I've just stepped away from being inspired just for being inspired and focus way too much on like business stuff and things that didn't even matter. So with Todd, I think you sort of learned how to manage this really well through experience and just through all the things that you do. So I'm curious, like, what your thoughts are on, you know, how to stay inspired, even though as musicians and as entrepreneurs, we're always constantly trying to push, you know, our career forward. How do you take time, or how do you balance staying inspired just, you know, to be inspired, or just to stay creative for the creative sake?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I'm in no way, shape, or form consistent with this. It's a constant battle. You just have certain times where you just kind of lose interest. And but the one thing that I noticed that kind of kills my drive is just a lack of overall mindfulness of what I'm doing. So one thing that I like to do, and I'm just going to kind of rattle off a few things that I personally do. Other people have different ways of finding inspiration, but for me, because I'm by myself so much, I'm not in like a band per se, you know, like I'm not constantly working in one band. I like to be around other musicians and other people. So my favorite thing is to hang out with people and just hang, you know, maybe have a couple beers and then just play, just jam and just play to play. Yeah. Play, don't record anything, or maybe do record something. You know what I'm saying? Just not have a specific goal in mind.
Yeah.
It's for anything. You know, I know as a composer and a writer, it's so easy to get wrapped up in thinking ahead of time that you need to place every specific thing. Everything's got to have a purpose. And it's so good to just kind of detach from that and be around people that just play for fun. And, you know, have those times set in your schedule. Like from 10 to 12, I'm going to play on my instrument. Play. Or another thing I like to do is just pick up another instrument, you know, like I'm into the production. Yeah. So I love having like keys, and I think just production in general is just super inspiring with MIDI now. I mean, the sounds that you can get are just incredible. So that is really inspiring to me as well. And listening to music, falling with it again, you know. So what happened to me was I guess I started to get wrapped up in podcasts, man. And I sort of stopped listening to music in my free time. And I was like, because I was doing it all the time, I was playing it. I was like, okay, so I'm going to play. And then, you know, I'll have that extra time to just like kind of soak up some podcasts. And it's not the same, man. Music puts you in this kind of spirit, for me, like a spiritual kind of just like zoned out state where you're not thinking, you know, you're letting your mind relax. So, and then also you just listen to a great song that just makes you want to pick up an instrument again. You know, I recommend going back to like older records, you know, that made you want to pick up your instrument in the first place, and just going to jam sessions. Another fun one. you know, maybe not even playing, just going and
I'm
just watching
watching.
people play. Live shows are the best. Like, stay in the live, watch live. Like, there's this book called The Artist's Way, and it was cool because I actually lost mine, and my roommate slash landlord gave me another copy, and
Nice.
it's a beautiful book, man. It might be a little too spiritual for some people, but it gives practical checklists and different things that you can do to stay inspired and basically keep yourself in that positive mindset of who you are, which is a musician or an artist, whatever you want to call yourself. And as we grow at our craft, it's very, very, very easy to get down on ourselves if we're not composing what we want to compose, or maybe we didn't play a good gig or anything like that. And so what this book does is just helps keep you on track. So they have other things, you can do it with groups of friends, and if you have a I forget what the name of the group is. They have like mastermind groups, like
Yeah.
if you ever bought like some kind of course, they always offer that as like a thing, like a Facebook group, a closed Facebook group where all the members kind of like help keep each other on track and inspired.
Yeah.
That would be a cool thing to set up for musicians. But you get the point. Just having someone hold you accountable for staying in that kind of zone. So maybe you guys go to shows together, every other week, or you guys set up jam sessions. So, and this stuff is not really talked about amongst, at least it wasn't with my Philly kind of scene. I feel like
Yeah.
in LA that's going to change because I'm becoming like, just, I don't know, there's just a lot of people who are down to like get deep with conversation and really talk about some, kind of open up. But yeah, I'd say those were like 5 or 6 of the most key points.
I love that because you're absolutely right. I think, with this podcast and just other things that I hear or that I see, there's so much information out there on everything,
Yeah.
whether it's music, whether it's gear, whether it's technique, even philosophical, psychological information, like you can find it all. But in general, I rarely ever see this pattern amongst musicians and creatives, or I rarely ever see anyone talk about the effects of not being inspired or getting too caught up in the actual trying to be better part of being an artist. And I feel like every artist goes through this multiple times in their life. I mean, I feel like it's just it's a constant thing. I mean, I know it happens for me, and I tend to see that some of the most successful and fulfilled artists, and fulfilled is a very key word right there, because you can be successful in any specific way, financially or fame, but being fulfilled is a completely different side of the coin that you need to be happy. And it's something that we all as musicians and artists need to learn how to do, how to take a step back when we're not feeling inspired, when we're not feeling like we're at our best or whatever, how to know that we have control over how we feel about that. Because it's so easy to be like, damn it, I'm not at my peak. I didn't play the best gig. I haven't learned how to play that song yet. And it's easy to wallow in that. You know what I mean? But the ones, in my opinion, the people that I've met, like you, Todd, or even other mentors of mine, have gone through motions like this and figured out how to take a step back and how to find ways to stay inspired without necessarily having a goal. That's one of the keys that I have found, is that removing yourself from having a specific goal or an expectation allows you to sort of be playful again, to sort of approach what you love, whether it's music or something else, with a very playful, almost childish mind, which is healthy and helps you come out stronger than before. Or at least that's my takeaway from what you were saying before.
No, absolutely. So I feel like that's one side of it. But as you were talking towards the end, it got me thinking, like, there's also the other side of it where maybe you're just kind of going through the motions, right? So for me, the move to LA was my step forward, because you mentioned taking a step back a lot of times, but sometimes we need to take a step forward and like move in a new direction. So for me, coming here was like already, and I've been here for 2 weeks, and I've met so many great musicians and great people, and I've been playing more than I played in the past 2 years, you know? So there's that side of it too. I think it just depends on your situation. And you also have to take time to, if you're really being kind of like introspective and you're really analyzing your situation, take into account things outside of your music career that might be low in energy, that might need some tending to. Now that's a big thing too. So whether that's, you know, fitness or certain relationships, or maybe you just got some mental things that you need to sort out that have nothing to do with music but are bleeding into your craft, you know? And that's happened to me. Um, and That's why I love what I do, man, because when my music is not good, see, when I a lot of people, I feel like a lot of artists and stuff, like they're under this impression, like to be a songwriter or to write music, you have to be like in this sad kind of depressed state, you know, like live in Seattle, smoke cigarettes, and like, you know, sit in a coffee shop all day. But like, I don't think that's the case. You know, for me, like the best music I make is when I'm in a super loving state. You know,
Yeah.
when I'm happy. So in order to be that way, I have to do certain things to make sure I'm in balance.
Yeah.
Balance is the key word. You know, like make sure you're everything. Um, that dude Ty Lopez, I swear to God, if I see another YouTube commercial from that dude, but he brings up a good point. He like his whole thing is like health, wealth, love, and happiness. You know, all those things. You know, so maybe your finances are struggling as with your career. Maybe you need to get a another job to help support yourself for a while, so you're not worried so much about finance and you can focus on your music. You know, or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you're working too much, chill on the money, on trying to hustle so much and focus on your craft, you know?
Yep.
There's so many variables that come into play.
There's so many variables, and thank you so much for being honest. Like, I love having honest conversations, and I guess what you have brought up is definitely the key. And I know it's a very simplistic answer, but I love it because it's true, and it changes per person. And the key answer is balance. Like, you have to be willing to listen to your mind, your body, and your soul. And we can get spiritual with this stuff. We can get super deep with it, but it's very simple. You know, the reality is our bodies are always trying to be balanced. You know, we're musicians and creatives, but we're also human beings. There's social aspects, financial aspects, family aspects. There's everything. And as long as you're willing to listen to where your body is telling you to go, you know, whether it's time to be creative, whether it's not, whether it's time to take a step back or a step forward, is really 100% up to you. And it's up to you to listen and determine what's the best choice. And it's going to be different for everyone. So in this case, Todd took a step forward. In some of my cases, I had to take a step back, but we did what was best for us, or at least what we felt was best for us. And ultimately, we ended up moving forward in general.
Yeah, absolutely. And but you have to be very, very careful not to mistake your your gut for like your emotions.
Yes.
Okay, so like for example, you need to like work at this thing for a gig, or you're trying to like practice on a regular basis. Like sometimes you're just not going to feel like it. But I think what you have to do is kind of like that mindset, and the mindfulness is super crucial. So if you're always focused on the end goal, or you're looking at it, it's all about how you look at something, man. So like if I was looking at practicing as something that I had to repeat every day over and over again, and the whole time I was thinking like, oh, I just can't wait till this is over. Like you're not even practicing anyway. You're not even in it, you know, mentally. You're not focused. So it's really important to have good mental health while you're practicing. Are you actually focused on what you're doing? You know, one thing I like to practice is, and every musician should be considering this at some point, like have gratitude for what you're doing. Like you're playing music. You're literally playing music. There's people that would kill to do what you do, even to have an instrument, let alone be able to play. So I think it's really important. And that might mean trying to volunteer somewhere. get some perspective, man. That's another thing. I can't say I've really went out and done that myself, but if it's really, I've thought about it so many times and I just never made the jump. But that's another thing that you can do too. Like, gain some perspective on what you're doing. We get so trapped in our thoughts, and now with social media, it's like we're just in our own world of just comparison and seeing how good everyone else is, and then comparing. And the second we pick up our instrument, we're just comparing and comparing. It's like, it's not good.
No. I love it. I absolutely love it, because it all comes into play to that one thing. We're trying to figure out how to stay, inspired, and how to make sure that we maximize on us being creatives. And the reality is, the answer to this isn't something that anyone can answer in just 10, 20 minutes. And I mean, every answer is going to be different for everyone, but being open-minded and allowing yourself to figure that out, to be grateful, to take a step forward, step back, just allowing yourself to be balanced, in my opinion, is a very generic key. And take it from Todd. I mean, I honestly loved the examples that you gave, and I'm going to try and implement some of those in my life. And hey, listen, if you're listening out there, you don't have to do everything that either me or Todd is suggesting, but it helps to have a point of reference, because if it helps you become more balanced, to understand what you need to do in order to feel more inspired, or to, just feel happier overall, then I know that we did our job.
Yeah, absolutely.
This has been a Nebula Music Podcast topic review. I hope you learned something new. Definitely press that subscribe button, because I'm going to have way more topic reviews and way more interviews coming your way.